I'd like to call to order the regular meeting for April 1st. Please stand for a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Allen. Here. Darnell. Here. DePalma. Here. Cordella.
Please absent.
Marshall. Rumble.
Here.
Thurman.
Here. Okay, we need to approve our agenda. Are there any concerns or questions about the agenda tonight?
I have one, and that's the library funding issue discussed last week. I'd add that to the agenda just to get an update on it.
Last one.
I have
I
a.
know what I said last week. Time goes fast. You're having
Wow.
fun.
I have an update in my report.
I'd like to hear from.
Okay, do you want to add it as a discussion item?
Well, I want to add it on the agenda so they can have a discussion about it.
Oh, so they can make comments for agenda items?
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Exactly.
So, are you suggesting we add it as a discussion item?
Is there anything we need to vote on?
There's nothing we can vote on right now. So my understanding is nothing's been heard from anybody. So yeah, discussion item would be fine. I think.
Okay. What do we want to call this? Library?
I have library funding this year.
Okay.
What else?
Okay, is everyone okay with adding library funding issue as item A for discussion? Okay. Anything else? Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So, support.
I have a motion by trustee Marshall and it is supported by trustee Rumble to approve the agenda as amended. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously. Okay, so now we can move on to our reports. We have our treasury report that we have every month, our general ledger report, designated and reconciliation report, our building department report, I think we're still at just one.
Yeah, that's one.
Sarah. That's 0. I think one came into the office. It's not on the report. And then we also have a report from our recreation department, and the Parks and Rec director came in. He was unable to stay for our meeting tonight, but he wants to thank Mr. Rick Gibbons for the stop sign. He has it installed at the park.
Okay.
And he said that the cupola on the large pavilion has been secured and a carpenter will be out to replace some of the boards
Great.
on it.
He did that to make me happy, right? Both cases.
And the grant coordinator called and they were impressed with our grant letters of support and they want to use them as training examples.
Very cool.
So that was nice. And the rest of his report is in your packet. So we also have Edna Burton report and no CDBG report. Okay. So that brings us to trustees' reports. We'll start down with Mr. Rumpel.
Yeah, I just wanted to say the Lions Club Easter egg hunt is April 20th down at the HC Bird football field, so looking forward to that. And then we also have Rocking and Raking on Saturday, April 27th this month. We're looking forward to seeing all the volunteers and sponsors out there that day and getting seniors' yards taken care of around town. thank you for everybody that's volunteered for that or sponsored it.
Thank you. Trustee DePalma.
I don't have anything tonight. None of my subcommittees have met past month.
All right, Trustee Marshall.
I have nothing.
Okay, that moves us to the treasurer's report.
Happy spring, everybody. Hopefully the weather will start feeling more like spring soon. We are now settled to the state. All the taxes that remain unpaid are now payable at Oakland County only. No revised statements are necessary at this point, and make sure that you make out your check to Oakland County, not Brandon Township. Dog licenses are still available at the treasurer's office for the normal price until June 1st. And as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to call the office.
Okay, thank you. Clerk's report.
Thank you for coming out tonight. I've been under the weather all day, so I apologize. The teens and seniors rocking and ranking deadline to have your yard cleaned is Friday, April 5th. You can get the homeowner form at either the village offices, our senior center, the Brandon Township Public Library, or this building. And you could also go online to brandontownship.us, click on the senior center tab, and just click the teens and seniors rocking and ranking logo, and you can print out your own form and just get it in by the deadline. There is a need for volunteers, and you can contact Kim Zernick at 248-627-3965, extension 132. At the Burton Senior Center, kitchen was approved by Oakland County Health Department and the mechanical inspector. The punch list inspection will happen this week, so we're very close to being done with that project. We are looking to hire a fill-in senior center coordinator / transportation driver. The deadline to submit your application is Wednesday, April 10th, and you can get job descriptions in the clerk's office. The fill-in position has no specific hours. This will allow for the senior center coordinator to take some sick time and personal time as needed. And that's it for me. Have a happy Easter.
Okay, thank you. Okay, supervisor's report. I also want to wish everyone a happy spring and thank you for coming this evening. The township attorney let me know today that he spoke to the library's attorney and indicated that the township was not required to take funds from the general fund to pay the library. If the debt exists, it's a DDA debt. If the DDA doesn't voluntarily pay it, then the township could divert future collections from the DDA. The library attorney is supposed to get back with Stewart, our attorney, after speaking to the library board. He recommends we not take any action at this time, but he does say that moving forward, he suggests that we might want to insist that the library file action at the tax tribunal, but he is hoping that the library and DDA can reach a resolution that the township can follow. There are Skywarn spotter training classes going on in Groveland Township on April 8th. So if anyone wants to participate in that, please call 248-858-5300. We still need volunteers from the board or the public to work the no-haz events. Scott Broughton agreed to work the April 13th collection at Oxford Middle School, and that's the first collection that they're going to have, and it's also the closest collection that we'll have to our township. The other collection dates that we need help for are June 22nd, July 20th, September 7th, and October 12th. So please let me know if anyone's available. Information about no-haz can be found on the township website at www.brandontownship.us. And then to update on the fluorescent light bulbs, we still have some used fluorescent light bulbs left. I was able to sell 3 boxes, So our supply is dwindling, and I also have an offer to transport some to the no-has if we can't get rid of them. So if anyone's interested in any used fluorescent lights, please let me know and I'll.
Those are only
work
6
something out.
footers, right?
Pardon me?
Those are only 6 footers?
4 footers.
4 footers, okay.
And then lastly, at 57 Williams Drive, the homeowner brought in all of the registrations for the vehicles that he has on his property, so they're all plated and registered. And they were, I mean, when he first brought them in, it was going to expire in a month. Well, he went out and re-registered. So he's good for a year. And that's all I have on my report. So we can move on to correspondence. For correspondence, we have a letter from the Oakland County SISMA. And we also have a letter from Lara from the state of Michigan. So at this time, we can take citizens' comments on agenda items only. During citizens' comments, we ask that you stand at the podium and direct your comments to the board. We will be happy to answer any questions at the end of the meeting. Please state your name. And although it's not required, we also ask that you state the city, township, or village in which you live. Comments shall be courteous and limited to 3 minutes per speaker. So who would like to speak to an agenda item? First.
I'm Berna Cole. I'm the Vice President of the Brandon Township Public Library Board of Trustees, and I am speaking for the board today. At last month's meeting, we brought to you our continued request to receive the 2017 taxes withheld from the library and forwarded in error to the DDA. The facts are you, the township, are responsible for correctly distributing the collected library millage. Having made the error, you now require us and the DDA to work it out. Whether this was done by the treasurer ignorantly or accidentally is not the issue and should not be the issue. It is not our job to tell you how to fix this, but I can make a suggestion. As a resident and as a taxpayer at 90 North Hadley in Brandon Township, we have a reserve, you have a reserve fund. I respectfully ask you to pay the library from this fund and make whatever accommodation you choose with the DDA. You've put us in an untenable situation of being in conflict with the DDA through no fault of theirs or ours, and also having required us to spend hours and money on legal representation in order to fulfill our fiduciary responsibility and obligation to the library on behalf of the taxpayers of Brandon Township.
The number?
Pardon?
The number, again, to refresh my memory.
I don't have, the dollar number?
Yeah.
It's over 8,000, I don't believe.
No, it's 7,300 plus
Okay.
some odd dollars.
I apologize.
Our treasurer.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak to any of the agenda items? Sure.
Hi, Cheryl Ball. I live in Brandon Township, and I'm the finance officer on the Brandon Township Library Board. I concur with everything that Berna said. That is the opinion of our board. And it should also be brought to your attention that we have been made aware of another tax issue from which the library has not gotten their money from that either for 3 years. So we are now spending our time, our money on our CPA with our attorney to try and resolve these issues when it's errors being made by the township, and the township should take care of it in a timely manner. I had to ask that the item be put back on the agenda. It was not originally on the agenda. It's an open item with the township, and it should remain on the agenda until it's resolved. We do not think that it is our responsibility or our place to deal with the DDA on this error, but that the township should handle it. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to make a comment on an agenda item?
I will. Scott Broughton, Ranger Road. Regarding the partisanship of township board members, I know there's some arguments that say it doesn't matter. I say it does matter. I know in meeting a number of constituents out, briefly when I was on the trail, whether I was putting signs up or getting a petition signed, here's how the questions went. One, what does a trustee do? And just flat out, I'm not holding people accountable for this, but they don't pay attention to local politics as much as we think they do. We're all very political by the fact that we even showed up to this meeting. But as a whole, and I don't believe people read the paper cover to cover as much as we think they do just because we do. First question I get is, what does a trustee do? Second question was, now that they know what I do, complain about the taxes, obviously. But the third question was, are you a Republican or a Democrat? And the reason they ask that is because they know when they're voting, they can look on that ballot and say, I want Republicans in there because it does have to do with how we tax and spend, property rights, Second Amendment issues. These all matter. Just because we aren't voting on a woman's right to choose doesn't mean that this is a nonpartisan board. And partisan leanings do matter, and that's how people vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Steve.
Good evening, Steve Lindrew, Seymour Lake, Brandon Township. I'm also talking about the non-partisan, just like Mr. Broughton said. I'm just to reiterate the same thing that he said is when I was out campaigning for the trustee position, people would probably first ask me what party was I affiliated with. And then once when they said the party, which I said the party I was affiliated with, then the conversation went further. So I think this is important that we have this as more of a vetting process or background where their opinions come through them so the questions can get right to the point instead of going, standing on the door, talking to somebody forever trying to explain where you're at or where you're going. Because some people say, are you Republican? Yep, there you go. You have my vote. And it goes straight from there. So I think we should keep it as partisan, not instead of non-partisan. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to make a comment on any of the agenda items? Okay, all right, seeing none, we'll continue with our meeting. Okay, so we are going to have a discussion item, library funding issue. So I read what Stuart sent me today because Verna did call me this morning, and so I followed up with Stuart, and this is what he said.
Could you read it again?
I can read it again, yes. All right, so he said, he indicated that the township was not required to take funds from the general fund to pay the library. If the debt exists, and he was questioning whether it did or not, it is a DDA debt. If the DDA doesn't voluntarily pay, then the township could divert future collections from the DDA. The library attorney is supposed to get back with him after speaking to the library board. And so he's still waiting for the library attorney to get back with him. He recommends we not take any action at this time. Moving forward, he suggests that we might want to insist that the library file action at the tax tribunal, but he is hoping that the library and the DDA can reach a resolution that the township can follow.
Has anybody talked to the DDA?
I haven't talked to the DDA.
To talk to them and letting them know that somehow or another, by accident or whatever, not knowing that these funds weren't supposed to go to them, that they got funds they weren't supposed to receive. Do they know that?
I
Yes.
don't. Do they?
Yes.
They do know that.
And what did they say? Are they willing to pay that back?
That's a discussion between the library and the DDA.
Well, but it's our fault though that it happened, so it is part of our responsibility.
It was not, according to some of the written emails that we received, one of the lawyers representing, I assume, the library, since it was to them, stated there needed to be a conversation between the library, the DDA, and the township.
And so have we made that happen?
That happened in 18, not 17. They're asking for 17 funds, not 18. And 18 was taken care of.
Not true.
18 was what did you say?
Taking care of the DDA.
Taken care of.
Right.
The money wasn't taken out in 18 is what you're saying?
There's no capture.
There
in
was no
18.
capture in 18.
It's just 2017 that they're looking for. And I thought, wasn't it around $7,000?
Just over 7,300.
This is my thinking, and I'm not sure why the DDA would be so difficult to work with on this. It seems to me that the ultimate responsibility falls on us for capturing those funds and diverting them to the proper accounts, whether it be the DDA or that would be the library. It seems, from everything I've heard, it should have gone to the library. For whatever reason, it didn't go to the library. It seems to pay the 73 some dollars, 7,300 some dollars, and then work with the DDA to get it back. And if that means that we don't fund the DDA up to that point for in the future, then we say, well, this is what we paid because you didn't return those fundings to the library. And so we're just going to deduct that from what you normally get. That just seems the easiest way to do it. I hate to see the library suffering for $7,300 when $7,300 is not going to break us, and it might very well cause them some difficulty financially.
Well, and if they have to keep spending attorney fees, they can turn around and spend the whole $7,300 on attorney fees, and then there went the $7,300 and it just became a total waste. I agree with you. I say you get the funds back to them and you work with the DDA, because it came from us, even if whatever happened, because looking at some of the emails that I've seen, it looks like there was discussion started in 17, and then it stopped, and then it started again for 18, and then realized that 17 happened. It just seems like it's a big mess, and who really knows, like I say to my kids all the time, there's this story and there's this story, and somewhere in between is the truth. And I think that we just need to get the library done, stop the legal fees on our end, stop the legal fees on their end, and talk to the DDA. If no one's talked to the DDA, who knows, maybe they'll be like, oh, yeah, if it wasn't ours, I mean, you don't know until you talk to them about the 17 funds.
What I can do is arrange a meeting with the DDA and the library and the township. And we can sit down and hash it out.
Have a discussion.
But I feel that I would like to follow our township attorney's
Right.
guidance.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying to make a decision tonight, but I don't know why a meeting was done in the past month. We knew about this a month ago, and now a month later, nothing happened.
Because at our last meeting, we were going to give it to the attorney to write a letter to the DDA.
And that's where it's
And that's where it ended up.
Trying to save some attorney fees.
If it's discussion on the, if it's an agenda item for discussion, it can't be voted on, right?
Correct.
Can we, so we can't make a decision on how it's going to be handled then, either because it's discussion?
We aren't going to vote on action.
Okay.
We can talk about taking action, and we can have this meeting and bring something back to the board for our next meeting.
Can you give the results of that meeting to us prior to the next meeting on the email? Again, I hate to see the library sitting here, waiting for something that's due them for another month. I mean, as we ended the meeting last month, I said, would wait another month be okay with you? And he said, sure. And now we're asking to wait for another month. And I'd like to see something happen with this prior to another month passing, just for closure for the library, if nothing else.
I just hate to see us keep spending attorney fees on them. So if you want to have a meeting, but without the attorneys between the three groups, and
I doubt the attorneys are gonna let that happen.
Right. Sorry, guys.
That's not how that works.
I'm not gonna ask us.
Just say it.
Oh, maybe they'll have some kind of timeline. Maybe the attorneys will be able to give us a timeline.
Well, who knows if all three people would be even get together to vote or get together to actually have a meeting in the next month. You don't know what people's schedules are.
Correct.
The only thing for me is I'd hate to see our residents have to pay the same $7,300 twice. So I understand what you're saying,
I'm hoping that with.
but our residents have already paid that.
No, I get it. I'm hoping we have a little bit more clout with the DDA than the library board does.
And what he's saying, I don't think we would be charging the residents another $7,300.
Well, we're not. We're taking tax money again and paying
No.
again to a different entity.
No, what?
If that's what Bob was saying to do.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, but then the next time we have to take money and divert it to the
Yeah, I know.
DDA, you divert the fund, say, well, you already owe us 73.
But I
So
don't-
we,
but I think
we
we-
hold
we
the
need-
debt.
I feel
Instead of the
that if
library.
we're gonna divert funds, we need to get that nailed down on our plan before we return any funding or move any money.
Well, yeah, we'd have to know where it's coming from, sure.
I'd be willing to imagine that the DDA doesn't have $7,300.
When we recoup
But
it-
I don't know their
yeah, when
budget. I have
we
no
recoup
idea,
it next
but I-
time, we're supposed to give them money.
How much money do we give them on a yearly basis? Not
The
even close to
tax
7,300, is it?
capture?
Is it
The
7,300?
whole tax capture for the DDA isn't it around 50,000?
That I don't know.
You
I
give them
just do it
50,000.
on every 2-week basis.
How much do you give them every 2 weeks?
It's a different every 2 weeks.
Right. It depends on how many people pay in during that time frame. And it's only during the tax time frame.
I believe in the last meeting that I watched for the DDA, they said that because the library has decided not to divert this money to the DDA, it's about 25% of their budget.
So then maybe they have incentive
So it's about
to
50.
make good on the 7,300.
So that's quite a bit of their budget.
That's about 50.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying, they might not have it after
Yeah.
losing 25% of what, if that's.
Of
the
their
case, I don't-
annual budget.
Right.
But their
I don't know.
budget is different than ours. Theirs is
We don't have any
July
information on
1st to
there,
June
so.
30th, so
Yeah.
I don't pay their bills, I don't know anything
Right.
about.
Well, yeah, I think this has to get hashed out with the DDA, the library, and make known to the DDA what we're looking at. Because I personally haven't had any conversations with the DDA about this.
My personal opinion is I would like to see us advocating for the library and negotiating with the DDA. Again, for whatever reason, the onus seems to have landed at our doorstep as far as responsibility. And I don't know why, I don't care why. It just seems that the money went to the wrong people, and I think we should advocate for the library board.
Well,
Instead of the library board having to pay out, like Dana was saying, more money for an attorney to show up at a meeting.
my opinion is, I don't want to choose between the library and the DDA. I think we need to advocate for both of them, and I think the DDA, if for them to come up with that funding right off the top, you know, right at the beginning might be difficult for them, so let's have the conversation.
Well, again, that's where then we have the money, it's not a huge amount of our budget, we pay back the library, so they're good. And the DDA, over time, we don't pay them
Well-
the 7, you know, you make it over a year or however much, you know, whatever it
Installment.
Well,
needs to be.
well,
an
we need to
installment
come up
thing.
with a solution
Right, we need-
before
that's what
we
I-
take any action.
Yeah.
No, I'm not, Kathy, I'm not talking in action here, I'm trying to give you ideas for the meeting, since I won't be at the meeting, since it's gonna be you and the library and the DDA. I'm trying to give you some ideas of what we could look at the meeting to try to make it whole again. I mean, the DDA got funds they weren't supposed to, so the library, I'm trying to advocate for the DDA too and say, help them over time. I'm not saying let's make an action, I'm trying to give you ideas of how we can help them both. You can help the DDA by giving them time to not get the $7,000, and you can get the money to the library like they were counting on.
Maybe we could just email Kathy our suggestions.
But we are having discussion now, and the library people are here to hear what's going on, so.
So, any other discussion?
Well, I guess see if we can get the attorneys and all them to do a meeting, is what I would say. And go from there.
Sometimes people settle outside of the attorneys. I
I
don't
say,
see why
can you try to
the
move
have
out
to
the
be.
attorneys?
Yeah, I don't see why they have
No
to.
represented parties let your client talk to another attorney person. It doesn't work that way.
But they're already involved.
The attorneys will be involved. Whether or not they physically show
Right,
up
they might
to
not
a
have to be,
meeting,
yeah, they might let you do the meeting.
that might not happen.
Yeah.
But they're not
You have to
gonna
make sure we.
reach
But
an
our
agreement without the
attorney,
attorneys.
our attorney will be up to speed on.
That's what I'm saying, but they might not have to spend the time at the meeting.
Right.
Okay. All right, any other discussion on the library funding issue?
And we'll try to get some worked out, information worked out, or scheduling worked out ASAP.
Okay. So that concludes our discussion item then. And we'll move on to our consent agenda. We have regular meeting minutes of March 4th, 2019. Regular bills in the amount of $1,041,061.60. Prepays in the amount of $362,116.83. Township benefits from payroll account of $32,288. Trustee timesheets in the amount of $408.
Were you not here last month?
No, I was, I was out of state, and when I came back, and I had just sat down to my email to actually send my form in, and
So
that
that-
Borders had a horse that colicked, so we had to take an emergency up.
Gotcha. So does this need to be adjusted to add $102 in there?
I said, it can wait till next month, it doesn't matter to me.
Okay,
I'm
so
not
you're- I
paying
got
my
you.
mortgage on this, so. I'm
Yeah,
okay.
No, I'm just saying, I don't make
Yeah,
sure
no,
you
yeah.
get paid for your time. Okay, so that'll be on next month.
Yeah.
Okay, so any other discussion on the consent agenda? Would someone like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented?
So moved.
Support.
I have a motion by trustee Rumble, and it is supported by treasurer Darnell to approve the consent agenda as presented. And if there's no further discussion, roll call please.
Allen,
Yes.
Darnell,
Yes.
De Palma,
Yes.
Marshall,
Yes.
Rumble,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes, motion carries unanimously. We can move on to new business. Our first item of new business is the policy amendments. So the board approved amendments at the January 7th meeting, but I think we need further clarity on some of them. So I'm suggesting we do some more amendments, and the first ones are in the General Employee Benefits Manual, the wage schedule.
Is that what this extra sheet?
Yes,
That's
and
this-
there's an extra sheet for the first part of it. So I spoke to the clerk and the treasurer, and we tried to come up with something that we thought would be fair for the employees. And then after I wrote this up, I had some more thoughts on it, and instead of a two-tiered for degrees and associate and bachelor's degrees, I think maybe a three-tiered system might be better, because if we just have non-related degrees and job-related degrees, there's going to be somebody that just has, say, a management degree or something, and is kind of in between, you know, being a job-related and a non-job-related. So I thought maybe we want to add a semi-related degree. Put it in the middle.
I think you're overthinking it.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if anybody here would agree with me, but I think from my college career, going into the workplace, I found very little of what I learned in college actually applied to the real job. In teaching college, I found pretty much the same thing. I mean, I try to give a real life, day-to-day on how things work, but then there's always the academia. You know, if somebody has a degree in business and a degree in accounting, it doesn't matter. I mean, to me, a bachelor's a bachelor. I don't think we need to overthink it.
So
Well,
what
but
if the degree's in biology?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I don't even think they
What do I
should.
care?
Well, but it has nothing to do with your job. Typically, you don't get paid more for that. So I don't even think there should be a non-related degree. I think if you have a degree in nursing, but you're doing accounting, what does that have to do with it? Why should you get more than the person who has a degree in?
Well, this is compared to somebody that doesn't have a degree at all in anything. So it's,
But that person can have more experience than the person who has a nursing degree because she spent all those years in nursing. So you could have had somebody who first went to school for nursing and worked out in the nursing field, and then comes in, and this person's been here all the time, doesn't have a degree because they started right out of high school, and they have more experience, but this person's making more just because they have a nursing degree than somebody else. I just don't think that makes sense. I would only think if you have a degree in what you're working in, does that count?
What about degrees over that, too? Like, I mean, mine's over that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Not that I care about 10 cents. but-
yeah, and
Right.
you mean beyond the bachelor's?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's masters, there's.
I didn't add that in because I don't think that.
You don't think
we
so?
would
You
run
want
into-
doctors?
Yes,
Or you want
if you have
No, I
a
mean, I'm just
bachelor's
saying.
degree, you're probably not going to be a clerical person.
Yeah, probably not, but.
But
you
then
never
I
know.
also look at the job-related training at 10 cents per hour for 40 hours of classwork. I mean, some people take a lot more classwork than that a year, and that could really, 10 cents an hour for every 40 hours you do a year, and if you do 40 hours every year, that could be huge.
It could, if you,
$4 every 40 hours, right?
if you put the effort
Well,
into
yeah,
it.
it could be.
I mean, but looking at somebody, I have to have 40 hours every year, so if I step into that, I mean,
But
you're
you're
looking
a
at.
CPA.
But I'm just, that's a lot of, that's really upping somebody's
Yeah,
salary
well, here's
there.
in the treasurer's office, that's job related, isn't it?
Here's a pretty basic question. Is this more than what they're currently getting?
This, did you see this?
Yeah.
This is
How
what
did they
they're
come up with
trying
this
to
was
get.
even necessary? What is-
Well, that's what I mean. I think we're overthinking it. This is already over what they're getting anyway, that we're already improving their situation.
Right.
Why do we have to overthink it to the point of, well, if you have a minor in accounting, you know, we'll give you, I don't think we need to overthink it. And I think that's what.
Just say a related degree, I guess, or.
Yeah, I think this is,
Well, it's just, okay, so the way it's written is
But what was? the
clerical employees can be paid an additional stipend for educational knowledge based on their level of expertise with a recommendation from their department head and board approval. So it's just giving the department head a place to categorize the employee that has extra education.
It gets very confusing.
So why did this become necessary above what we already had? That's, I don't get.
I think
where did
because
it
of
come
what
from?
the action we took last month.
Yeah, but didn't we already give a raise for that position for the training that she already had? So
No,
what
that,
is-
that position is separate from what we're talking about right now. We're talking about clerical. We
Right,
created,
that's
we
not
created
clerical, what
a,
we
right,
hired.
we created a new job.
Yeah, so, but why did this become necessary still? I still don't get why this became necessary.
There's
Okay.
employees that could go on and further their education and to enhance the township in their job, not go out and be a nurse.
But don't we pay for some of that schooling already?
We pay for the schooling, but we don't pay any
We don't recognize,
for.
we don't recognize the schooling has taken place.
Don't we pay for
We
the
don't.
school?
Portions of some, yeah.
So we pay for,
We can pay for education.
that seems like a pretty important perk to me. We're paying for their education.
But the things that we pay for, Bob,
It's not everything,
it's
but.
not like a college education.
Right.
It's like, for my office, they go to a week of class. It's $300.
But
Yes,
then
it's
they
a
get-
lot that we have to pay for, but they don't get anything from it.
We don't pay for college for,
It's not college.
We don't
Our
pay.
trainings.
Right, but so if they go to a week of training at 40 hours of classwork, then they're going to get 10 cents for every 40 hours, or 10 cents for every hour they took.
They work.
No, that's their pay increase.
They get an additional
pay
10 cents an hour
increases.
for that training.
That's their pay increase, 10 cents
So
an
so if they
hour.
take 40 hours every year, we give them that additional 10 every year?
Right, and that
So
works
then
out
next year
to
it's
200.
20 and the
That
next year
works-
it's 30?
No, it's just, well, if they keep taking classes,
That's
if
what I'm
they
saying.
keep adding classes.
I don't know about any other offices, but ours is only 3 days.
That seems a little excessive to me.
Well, it works, 10 cents an hour works out to $208 a year.
I know, but if they take 40 hours for 10 years, then it's $5,000.
And I
Or
don't
not
know,
5,000.
I don't know if there's
Bad math,
that
you
many
know.
classes
Yeah.
available.
I don't either, but
There's not in for the treasurer's office, I can tell you that. There's 3 years.
So is A, B, and C like our choices here? This is confusing to me. Are we doing
Yes.
A, B, and C? Are you presenting us
One.
what A, pick B,
You pick,
C?
yes,
Gotcha.
you pick 1, 2,
Okay.
or A, B, or C. And then this is just
and this is over and above what we talked about amending last month, correct?
It has nothing to do with last month.
Okay, but
This
this
is
is,
just
No,
for
it's not,
clerical,
yeah, this is-
because
Because
last.
we talked about policies
this is the
last
rest
month.
of the people.
And this is adding the appraiser wage scale in,
That's what we did last month.
that's what we already approved. And this is just putting it into the wage scale.
Okay, so.
is that first rent thing already in there, Kathy? Or is that
No,
what you're proposing?
No, everything in red is not in
Okay.
there. But the appraiser part on the lower part of the page,
What's our new?
we already approved
Yeah.
it, we just haven't put it
Yeah.
into the policy.
Okay.
So the top part of the page, that's mostly where the discussion is, because it's whether or not we want to add that in or not.
How many of our current employees are going to receive this if we choose to do one of these?
At this point, nobody in my office.
Okay.
There could be a senior coordinator giving training. There could be.
I mean, for like the
You
bachelor's
mean-
and associates, how many employees would that currently
Uh,
affect? Do we know?
2, I know of 2.
2?
Of related, not non-related.
Well, see, that's
I
the
know
thing,
one-
you've got, and I don't know what's considered related and what's not considered related, and that's where the department head would have to come to the board, and the board would make the decision of
Kind of easy
where.
to figure out what are they doing with their degree and to figure out if it's related or not.
Right, and that would all be a conversation on when, because the board would have to approve each individual for getting the stipend for the education.
So so the full-time clerical then could make up to, you're saying 4,107, if they have the bachelor's with the $2 an hour, like you have here.
If we choose B, and they have the
Or A,
job-related bachelor's.
job-related bachelor's is $2 an hour.
Or A, yep.
So
An extra $3,000 to $4,000 a year if they have a job-related bachelor.
2,080 is an extra 4,000.
Well, I'm looking at the numbers that are printed on the page here.
Well, 2,080 hours a year times $2 an hour is 4,160.
Right. That's what's on there.
Right, okay.
So where that might fit in is if, say we were to hire.
It doesn't say, so I didn't see it down
Say we
there.
we were to hire a bookkeeper that had an accounting degree.
Yeah.
That would be job related, and maybe that would work in there, but, you know, with our wage scale, maybe
So they'd be
they wouldn't even
making,
want to work here. I
they'd
don't
be
know.
making 2206. So they'd be making $45,884. How much does, I mean,
Did you
the other
get
clerical
this?
position?
Did you get this? It's all on here. This is what they make here. And this is,
41.7.
these are
Right,
the.
that's what you would add. Okay, well, you didn't explain what all this is. This is what their full-time is right now.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not all explained here, so I'm just trying to figure it out, because I just received this. So
Yeah.
it's not like I had it over the weekend to look at.
I'm just trying to give little,
I mean,
different choices.
I still am hung up on why we need this.
Thank you. And I look at it either.
This is so.
I understand what you're trying to do,
Okay.
but I'm trying to figure out why we need it.
Because there's some people who've been here for 20 years that are making less than the person that just got the raise.
But do they have job-related bachelors that is gonna change anything?
I don't know, but they've got 20 years of experience, they're kind of going, wait a minute, this person's been here 3 years, I've been here 20 years, what's the deal?
But they also,
And
they
it's-
don't just stop at this rate. We have what's the thing called that we have after you.
Longevity.
Longevity, thank you. So the longevity helps that they've been here.
Well, let's put it this way, when I was looking for help, I had somebody come in and go, is that a typo? Never mind, I don't want the position.
So we're gonna have, for somebody that's been here for 20 years, that's gonna go and get a bachelor's for 4 years while they're working full-time, and that, is that what I mean?
I doubt.
I mean,
But
I'd
they-
be
but
more
they
power
might-
to them if they do,
But
but,
they might want to do some job-related training.
right.
But it's just to incentivize our employees to,
I would rather
Be
just see
better
the
at their jobs.
job-related training than the degree stuff. I don't see how the, if you wanna do something, I understand that.
I'm trying to figure
That's
out,
my opinion.
so the clerk and the treasurer make 54 in itself, and and do they get longevity, or do just the employees get longevity? And then you got the 45,885 for a clerical who's been here for 3+ years, and if they had the $2 degree, and if they add on, and then their longevity, I mean, they're almost making the same thing as the elected position, that just doesn't make sense to me.
you're talking about which one?
Just the clerical, if you look at the total of 45,000 versus 54. Okay.
Well, that's if you choose, if you choose B. I mean, these amounts can be changed, but if you hire a clerical employee and they have already gotten a bachelor's degree, I would think they would probably have more knowledge base to draw on than a person without a bachelor's degree.
Well, and if they didn't think that the salary was commensurate with their bachelor's degree, they wouldn't take the job.
Exactly.
So I don't understand why we
Right.
need this.
So just for my clarification, the employees already get longevity.
After 5 years.
Okay, so we're already rewarding them for putting time in.
After
And not,
5 years.
right, no.
But that continues
And that-
after
and
the
that's all
5 years, right?
employees.
Yes.
Right. So we want to reward employees that have been here a long time with the longevity. And we also want to reward employees for getting degrees.
But only the clerical, according to that.
Yeah, and see,
So then
my-
are the other employees gonna get,
you know, call me old school, but I don't look at it as you get a degree to improve your job. You get a degree to improve yourself. And it's not the employer's job to improve a person's individually. It's that person's responsibility to improve his own status. So we're already rewarding employees with longevity, so I don't see this as necessary.
Well, I'm trying to figure out, you're just doing this for clerical, like Jason just said, what about the rest of the employees who aren't clerical
and have degrees.
and have degrees and,
That would be
I have no
elected,
idea.
elected officials.
Fire department,
that's what I was gonna go to as a.
Well, the fire, this is in the
This is our
township, this is township.
Right, but what's the fire department?
Policies.
I know, but if we put it in ours, they're gonna see it and they're gonna want it too. And no blame on them, I would too if it was in the other one. And the senior center too, correct?
Well, the senior center's in the general.
Right,
in our
but this would apply to them
policies.
too, correct?
Yeah, it would not affect the fire department employees, but I would imagine that the fire chief might
I
be bringing
bet
something.
they would, affect them, they would want it to.
Because they do have a
Yeah, you gotta be
clerical
careful with
employee.
this, Ken. I understand what you're trying to do, but I don't think it's necessary.
Well, and I don't know, can you compare someone being an appraiser, certified appraiser, compared to clerical staff? Can you compare the two?
Well, they're not,
levels?
no, the appraiser's not clerical, so that's not for them. That's
Right,
only
so
for-
I understand that, but they're saying this came about because of the wages that the appraiser got. They're saying that this came about because the appraiser got these wages, so
I know,
they
but the
feel they're
appraiser's not
underpaid.
clerical, so how can you compare them?
That's what I'm saying, can
Yeah.
you compare, that's what I was
Right,
just
right,
saying, can you compare a clerical staff to an appraiser position? It'd be different if we said the clerical staff in the appraising office gets this, but not the clerical staff in these two offices. So you're trying to do something for clerical that isn't really the
So-
same as compared to an appraiser position. The appraiser to me is a clerical position.
I think the goal here was to take care of our clerical employees because we have a lot of them. And a lot of them are very good, and it's just a way to give them some incentive to better educate themselves, to be a better employee.
Well, paying for them to go, I think, is an incentive. If you ask them, if you pay them for their time there, so you get paid to go. So you're making, like, when you're there, you're getting your wage. And then we paid for them to attend it. I think that is,
But what incentive do they have to go do that?
They haven't come.
yeah, I mean, I always had to go and take classes that my work paid for, and I got paid when I went, and I went to do it, even if I wasn't required to do it. For my first 2 years of working, I was not a CPA yet, because I had to have 2 years in. I went to take CPE classes just to better my knowledge. My work paid for it, and I got paid for my 40 hours. I didn't mind doing it. I mean, it's not like it was my time and I didn't get paid for it, and I had paid for doing it. That was the benefit. I got knowledge that helped me do a better job. I didn't get a raise because I went and took that class.
I appreciate and I find it commendable that the full-time people sitting here want to take care of the other employees. I have no problem with that. I think that's commendable, and that's what full-time employees in this position should do, to take care of the other staff, but I just don't think it's necessary myself.
Yeah, I didn't get a raise every time I took a class.
Is this a voting item?
Yes, it is.
I'd like to call the vote.
What? I want to call the vote.
Okay. What, are you gonna
Cash
make,
this
well,
thing
wait,
away.
we have to make a motion.
Oh,
Yeah.
motion. I'll make the motion to approve the general employee benefits manual policy 2.2 and operations manual policy 11.3 amendments as presented.
Okay, well, we haven't talked about all of them, so I think I have
Yes.
I will.
Would someone like
Well-
to second that motion?
I'm just
You can
saying-
discuss it after.
Yeah, we can
Okay.
discuss it.
I mean, I'll support the motion, but
Okay.
maybe I'm not gonna support it.
No, I'm saying if we get it out there now, we can discuss the whole.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, and the other one on here, the conversion to full-time on the next page. What has happened when we moved the part-time person to full-time in the building department? They are actually making less money than at full-time wages, beginning full-time wages, than they were making where they were at part-time. So what I did was I added the, well, because if you look at the wage, if you look at the wage
Except
scale.
for taking a higher
Yeah.
job.
Yeah,
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
So then why
Yeah,
are
it
you
is.
wanting, so this person that you're talking about that you wanted to do this for, just took a pay cut anyways, but then everybody was up. Okay.
So I have a question on the same lines. The person that was part-time, do they have benefits?
No,
The person, once they got a full-time job, they have benefits?
yes.
Minimal benefits until they get the 90 days.
Well, that goes with any place.
So this appraiser,
90 days is pretty generous.
Well, all I'm suggesting is that we add the phrase in any part-time employee making this conversion that works less than 20 hours per week, which we already put a stipulation for, and then add, or any employee who would be placed at a wage less than they are currently earning shall start at the base of the full-time progression at their current wage. So it would be just to add that red part in, and I
So
would
they
also.
get a step up to similar to where they were at already.
Well, they keep their current wage until the step increased for them. And I would.
You might want to do separate motions then.
Well,
and that's what I kind of said, why are we
Yeah,
making
yeah.
a motion on this whole thing?
But I would like to have that retroactive to March 18th when we approved the appraiser and like building department position.
Would you like me to withdraw my motion?
No.
No?
Okay.
So here's my question. So all of a sudden we created
I don't care too. It's fine.
So we created this position, And this person stepped into the position and they ended up making less than what they were making, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we're gonna step them back up to what they were making, but then all of a sudden, why, back to Jason and Bob's question of why did this other thing need to take place? Because the clerical staff felt this person was making more than them when they're not, actually, we're gonna come in making less. So this whole reasoning to do the above doesn't make sense.
I think you're confusing two different people on that appraiser position. The one that's making less money is not an appraiser. The one that's making less money is the one that's full-time in the building department, replacing where the.
And we've already approved this trade
Is
stuff
this,
anyway.
yeah, are we voting on this red part, or what are we voting on?
Well-
This red I thought was already voted on.
We voted on it, but we didn't vote it on it in changing our policy.
So that's not on what we're
So
doing.
it's just-
So you're looking at
it's
this, this. and
If we voted on something, doesn't it automatically go into the policy? Why does it have to be
Well,
voted
it has
on
to
it
be,
again?
it has to be
Because
typed into the
we
policy.
haven't amended, we
Oh.
didn't vote to amend
Okay.
the policy.
Correct.
Okay.
So that's what we're doing.
All right, well, I guess we can vote. I think we know what's gonna happen.
So you're, as presented, which is on here, right? Okay. All right, any other discussion? I have a motion by Clerk Allen and it is seconded by Trustee Rumble to approve the General Employee Benefits Manual Policy 2.2 and Operations Manual Policy 11.3 amendments as presented. No further discussion, we'll do a roll call.
Darnell,
No.
DePalma,
No.
Marshall,
No.
Rumble,
No.
Allen,
Yes.
Thurman,
No. Okay. So I would like to re-vote and do an amendment to this.
No, you just make a new motion.
I would like to make a new motion. And that would be to amend it to C, clerical stipend allowance, to replace C on the paper I gave you into where the clerical stipend allowance is on what's being presented. So that's the amendment that I would like to change.
It's not an amendment, it's a new motion.
Pardon me?
It's not an amendment, it's a new motion.
I'm sorry. That's the amendment to what's being presented. But it's my motion.
Yeah, you're making a motion to put C in there.
Yes, I'm making a motion to put C in there and, or, let's see, I'll write it down. My new motion is to approve the General Employees Benefits Manual Policy 2.2 to be retroactive to March 18th, 2019, and to replace the clerical stipend allowance with what I presented as C. And the Operations Manual Policy 11.3 amendments.
You should probably do those separately.
Do we want to do them separate?
I would if I were
I
you.
would,
Makes
because
sense.
again, C still has non-related, it still has 10 cents per every 40 hours of class work. I mean,
Right.
I'm not. I agree they deserve, but they get longevity, I'm not saying no.
Okay, my motion will just be relative to the Benefits Manual Policy 2.2.
So that's the C.
And that's the C, along with the appraiser and the conversion to full-time.
Okay. Okay.
Would anyone want to second my motion?
I mean, I'll second it so we can vote.
Okay.
No.
All right, I have a motion by Supervisor Thurman and is seconded by Trustee Rumble. And that is to approve the General Employee Benefits Manual Policy 2.2 as amended by replacing the clerical stipend allowance with what is presented as C, and to be retroactive to March 18, 2019. Okay, and that's seconded by Trustee Rumble.
I also want to, can we do discussion?
Sure.
I also want to state that in January, everybody just got raises, and we've been typically doing raises every year recently, so it's not like we haven't been doing stuff for them. Because I do believe they do a great job.
Okay, any other discussion?
I just think giving them that extra is only for an incentive to them to want to go to training and do a better job for this township. That's all. I don't believe a lot of people are going to try and use it.
Well, why wouldn't you go for the training if you pay them to go to it? It's just like you're at work and you're paying for the training and they're getting their wage while they're there. So why wouldn't you do something like that for your job?
We have had issues, Dana, where we wanted our employees to go to training and they just couldn't get there. And I think if there was more incentive, it would be easier to get into more training. Any other discussion? Okay, let's do a roll call, please.
DePalma,
No.
Marshall,
No.
Rumble,
No.
Allen,
Yes.
Darnell,
No.
Thurman.
Yes. So motion fails.
Can I make a motion to do
Sure.
the conversion part,
We'll get there.
to do the conversion to full-time, part-time, the sentence that's in there, or any employee who would be placed at a wage less than they are currently earning, and back that to 318 and 19. Also to add the township appraiser part that we approved last time from the 2.2 section, and then the 11.3 promotions within the township.
Second.
Okay. Okay, I have a motion by Trustee DePalma and it is seconded by Trustee Rumble. And that is to approve the 2.2 wage schedule
For the
for
appraiser.
the conversion to full-time to part-time.
Just the 2.2 wage part of the appraiser part, not the clerical stipend allowance.
Okay, right. The township appraiser
Yep, one.
section and the conversion to full-time to part-time,
Yeah.
and that's moving back to 318.
Well, I seconded it.
And the operations manual 11.3 hiring practice amendment,
Second, still.
correct?
Yes.
Are you totally confused on this?
Yes.
Do you
We'll
want to
help you out.
read it back so we can see?
I'm just adding this bottom part here is my motion for this part.
Okay.
And then my motion on the next page is for both of the rest two parts.
Okay.
So it's all the proposed amendments except for the clerical stipend allowance.
This right here.
Correct.
Okay.
And the conversion full-time to part-time is moving back to 318.19. Any questions or discussion on this motion? Okay, roll call, please.
Marshall,
Yes.
Rumble,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Darnell,
Yes.
DePalma,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. Are there any other motions on this? Okay, we can move on then.
Well,
right, next on our agenda is the 2019 West Nile Virus Program. So,
All right, I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Okay.
That one's straightforward.
So this is the same as last year.
Yep,
Any discussion?
the same the last 5 years.
Roll call, please.
Marshall,
Yes.
Rumble,
Yes.
Allen,
Yes.
Darnell,
Yes.
DePalma,
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes, motion carries unanimously. All right, that was a quick one. The nonpartisan local officials. So MTA sent this to us, and they would like to get our feedback on whether or not we think our township local officials should be on the ballot as a partisan notification by their name or nonpartisan. Discussion.
I'm opposed to it completely for all the reasons they said.
I'm sorry,
I
what?
said I'm opposed to it for all the reasons that NTA listed on the back here.
And personally, I am like in the middle on this because I always thought that we up here should be working as nonpartisan people because we work for the township and the residents. And once we're in office, the job really is pretty nonpartisan.
Well, we don't vote party lines, but I think that people want to identify you
Absolutely.
as, well, in my view,
They want to know that you have the same
liberal or
values.
conservative, right.
Right. I agree with Kathy on once you get here, you're not always voting a Republican way or Democratic way, but I agree with the residents and what Scott and Terry said, that people want to know who they're putting into office to kind of know which way to go. We're not as political as the other levels
Higher
of
ups.
government. Yeah, the higher up of the government, so I can understand that, but I know when it comes to voting time, that some voters don't do as much research to see if someone didn't say if they're Republican or Democrat or a liberal, that they wouldn't be able to do enough research to know who you're really voting for, so I can see. And MTA did, I know that whatever we decide today isn't really putting it into place, because this is more, just for you guys out there if you don't know what this is for, MTA is asking us to say where we stand. Back in, I think it was 2012, this got brought up before to the MTA township members, and it got turned down. And I think it's getting brought back up again, so they're looking at the townships to see if they should support it or not, basically. So whatever we do here just tells the MTA if we support it or not, and lead them down to figure out if they should relook at it or not.
And they're saying that it's to allow township boards the option to have its elected officials appear as nonpartisan on the ballot. So I don't know how the boards are going to decide that.
Right.
Right. I mean, I know some residents who would like it to be nonpartisan, but I can see both sides, so it's kind of a tough one.
The other question I have is if it is nonpartisan, I still think we need the primary process, and so that we can narrow down the field of who we're voting for in the general election. And I don't know how they would incorporate that with nonpartisan.
Right, it's not going to work.
Right. Has that ever been, has anybody said how that would work then? Or would there just be no primary, which
It's
is
never
right
gone
to
that
the-
far.
Yeah.
I think people like to know that the people they're voting for have the same values as them, and unfortunately, political parties are one way for most people to determine that. I mean, you're right, once we're here, most of the stuff isn't partisan there, but there are quite a few things that are.
My thoughts on it are, and I've said this before, I will run for re-election in 2020. I know, I'm not campaigning. And I plan to spend absolutely zero amount of dollars to be re-elected. So one of the small little snippets that people have to look on the ballot and see if our ideology aligns with theirs is that R, that DF words. I am opposed to making it nonpartisan.
Or they could go to OTV and watch all of our meetings.
And I hope they do, but I know and you know that people don't do that.
There's a few.
Yeah.
There's a handful that do.
live audience. One person said they watch it.
Oh, can I make the motion to oppose it then?
Yes.
I thought there was a
On my own night.
I'll finish the resolution.
All right.
Thank you.
It's just, oh, I think
It was offered
you were
by
supposed to
me.
bring this as a clerk.
It was a motion, but it was offered by you.
Yeah.
Okay.
It says offered by Candy Allen and supported by,
All right.
well, that's kind of the motion.
That's the resolution, so
Yeah.
it's, so someone needs to make,
Then I'll support the motion to oppose it.
okay, so we,
Yeah.
Why don't
There's a box
we-
to track opposed.
we'll
Right.
just take Candy's name and put Jason's there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sure.
Trustee Rowe.
Okay.
That's fine.
yeah. And who would like to support?
And then in opposition.
In opposition, we'll check that to the legislation that would allow township boards the option to have its elected offices appear as nonpartisan on the ballot.
And then it
And-
asks us to list reasons, but I would just say all the reasons that they listed on their chart.
The reasons listed under that position.
However you want the word that.
I would also like to add on there that the inability of non-partisans to have a primary, which is not on the chart.
It's not your motion.
No, that's-
No, I would think that any of us
Resources.
I would think the reasons can be any of us listed.
Oh, you want to list it as a reason?
Yeah.
I got you, that's fine.
Not the motion.
That's fine. I was gonna say, wait a minute, you're not adding stuff to my motion.
No, we're trying to list the motion, the reasons, which I think,
The opposition.
but maybe that should be part of discussion after the motion is second. Oh, I did support.
Well,
it.
they want reasons.
And ability to not hold. a
Yeah,
primary
just something
election.
about how with the
Yeah,
primary
or
or
not.
Right,
whatever.
right.
Right.
Any other discussion or reasons? All right, I have a motion by trustee Rumble, and who seconded it?
Bob.
Bob? Okay, the motion is by trustee Rumble, and the second is by trustee Marshall. And be it resolved that the township board is on record in opposition to legislation that would allow township boards the option to have its elected offices appear as nonpartisan on the ballot. The reasons for the board's position are as follows. The reasons on the chart that's presented of opposite, the reasons of opposition on the chart presented. Okay. And the inability to hold a primary, or how did you say that? You had it.
I put inability to not hold a primary election for nonpartisans.
Primary election for nonpartisans.
Wouldn't have it, it would only be for the federal stuff.
Right.
Okay. All right. We're good?
Yep.
Any more discussion?
Nope.
Roll call, please.
Rumble.
Yes.
Hamlin.
No. Oh,
Wait,
this is
wait,
opposition.
this is opposition.
Wait. All your
yeses are going to be
Okay.
listed here.
These
I
are-
would do it on this one.
This one.
Wait.
Okay.
No, our yes is.
Our yes is to opposition.
To opposition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, so
Yeah,
it should be
a
yes
yes.
to opposition.
Okay.
So-
I wrote it
I
down
can
as
read.
yes.
So yes, we oppose it.
Yes, that's what we're voting on, yes or no?
Yes, you oppose it.
Yes,
Yes,
you
I
oppose it,
oppose.
no, you don't.
Yep, you're right.
Okay.
Yes,
So
we
yes
oppose.
means no.
Correct, yes means no.
Thank you.
Okay, can we,
It's like teenagers.
I still say yes.
okay,
And I have to go off this one.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Allen,
Yes.
Darnell.
Yes.
DePalma.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes.
The motion was declared. So the motion was declared.
So the motion, the resolution has been approved.
Correct.
So it's been adopted as proposition.
And speaking to Mr. Cordella, he wanted to see Don Harson further.
We can't do anything with him.
Oh,
He
wow.
was absent.
Just FYI.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we can move on to our last item. Prohibited marijuana activities for persons under 21 ordinance.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion on this ordinance?
I don't have a whole lot of discussion. I do have a question on it though. And it's under Section 6 violation penalties. And it seems to me that we're basically dictating to a judge how they're going to handle the penalties as opposed to giving a judge leeway up to, $500 community service. We're basically dictating to the judge what he can do.
Oh, the judge can always go above this.
Well, no, I mean, you can also go below, but that's what I mean. I mean, we're dictating to a judge what he can or cannot do by the ordinance up. So my question would be, should we leave it more open to the judge, so we set the upper limits cannot exceed such and such. Say, so for instance, second violation, 18 years of age, by fine not more than $500 for community service, forfeiture of marijuana, completion of 8 years, 8 hours, 8 years, should be 8 hours of drug education or counseling. So it sounds like we're saying this is what you have to do, at least to me.
But it says of not more than.
It's our wish what we want the judge to do.
All right,
The
all right,
judges do
okay,
whatever
all right.
they want
And I
to do.
think
I will bow to your legal expertise.
I promise you.
We did this,
Judges
we
take
had
this as a
penalty and
suggestion.
violations of the ones we just did for vaping for underage too.
Right,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
And I talked to Lieutenant Glover, and he's seen this, and he is good with this. Any other discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Allen.
Yes.
Darnell.
Yes.
DePalma.
Yes.
Marshall.
Yes.
Rumble.
Yes.
Thurman.
Yes. Motion carries unanimously. And that concludes our new business. So at this time, we will take citizens' comments on any, yes.
I'm Shannon Pollock, I live on William Drive. This is my second meeting with you all, so it's a learning experience. I feel a little bit more loose this time. I've been on the internet, Googling the heck out of municipal codes and township ordinances, particularly Brandon Township. And then I've kind of moved outward, and it's just a learning. I have to learn about government. When I did this, I noticed that there's several towns, and I'll read them to you. Groveland Township, Goodrich, Clarkston, Metamora, Hadley, and Ortonville have very good online, how do you say it? They all have a blight ordinance. In Ortonville, as small as it is, it's just amazing how in-depth that is. What I've also noticed is I'm studying the municipal codes just overall, even throughout the country. I've noticed that blight ordinances are kind of intertwined with other municipal codes. It's almost like they work as a whole. So where there's stop gaps maybe in other areas such as unauthorized vehicles or whatever it may be. I guess my question is, why don't we have a blight ordinance here? If you got this little township, Ortonville, this little postage stamp, and all these other townships and cities, why don't we have a blight ordinance? Am I missing something?
I'm pretty sure we do have a blight ordinance.
We can speak to you after the meeting.
Okay. All right, thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. All right, is there anyone else that has a comment?
That monthly collection is 25% of those TIF collections Does that sound correct, Terry? I just know that was brought up in the meeting, so maybe of their TIP revenues that are coming into the DDA, if the library, well, those library funds were removed. I just know they discussed the fact, because it affected their budget, so that's why I was trying to say. Didn't want to mislead anybody on that. And then on this thing with the partisan, is it clear when you guys send this back into whoever it's going to be sent to at MTA, it seems like you say yes or no, are you checking one box and then saying yes or no to that? And so it's a typical government organization to put that list together in the first place. I just want to make sure it's clear that we're saying no, we want to stay partisan. Okay, thank you.
Yes, we opposed it. Yes, we opposed it.
Is there anyone else that would like to make a citizen's comments? Yes.
I'm sure you'd love to hear from me again. I just want to express to you my extreme frustration with the process that this has taken. To me, I thought this was going to be, bring it to their attention, it's a simple matter, it will be resolved. It's a matter of law. It's not who talked to who did what. It's a law. The capture of the taxes was to stop in 2017 unless the library notified the township that we wanted them to continue to capture our taxes, which we did not do. So according to the law, the township was supposed to stop capturing the taxes. All we are asking, there was a mistake made, we want it corrected. The cost to the taxpayers now, two attorneys are involved being paid for by the taxpayers. Township staff being paid for by the taxpayers. Library staff being paid for by the taxpayers. Two boards that give their time, your board being paid, our board is not paid. A third board that may come into the mix, DDA, staff DDA, which is also taxpayer money. It doesn't make sense to me that this can't just be resolved. Let me give you an example. Okay, I wrote 2 checks out. One was my property taxes, one was my income tax. I accidentally sent the wrong one to the state, so my property taxes didn't get paid. So I go, oh darn, township, I mistakenly paid the state. Now you have to go to the state and tell them to get your money back. That's what you're telling the library to do. That does not make sense to me at all. And to bring your attention, there is another tax issue, personal property tax reimbursement. We should have received money from those funds for 3 years. We have not. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, and by the way, that's about $24,000.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to make a citizen's comment this evening? Okay, so we'll move on to board comments. We'll start down at the center.
Me?
Sorry, Bob, yeah, tonight.
I have nothing.
Yeah, I just want to say that I don't know how 3 years of money not being paid to you has gone this long. I guess I don't understand the whole thing, but aren't you audited every year? And we're audited every year. So I would love to get
You can call me if you'd like the details.
a resolution to this as soon as we can.
I agree.
That's it.
Starting tomorrow, I'll work with trying to get a meeting together and so we can move this forward and get it resolved. And that's all I have. Carrie?
Nothing.
I'd like more information on this personal property tax of the $24,000 that hasn't been paid to the library. If that could get brought up to the board, if that's been known of by the, well, I think there needs to be something to all the board members, not just me.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd like to know what that's about. I think we should be informed about stuff like that happens instead of just all of a sudden it's brought up here and I have no clue what's going on. It's supposed to be up to date on stuff. And I thought we had something in place for blight and for automobiles that are not licensed, so hopefully they can.
They're different.
So you can
They're
look that up
different.
for sure.
different ordinances.
All right, thank
I
you.
don't have anything else tonight.
All right. So at this time, we can adjourn our meeting. Who would like to make a motion to adjourn? Who would like to?
That was Bob.
I have a motion by trustee DePalma and is supported by trustee Marshall to adjourn the meeting. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.